So this past January at Drake University, I taught a course entitled Mathematical Modeling of Weather and Climate Change. It was there that we studied the famous killing curve, and I was quite alarmed to read that this year carbon emissions have reached record levels. At this pivotal time for our species and our planet, what steps would you take to curb the potentially devastating consequences of climate change?
Great question, Frank. Terrence, thank you for the question and for directing our focus on the most urgent priority facing all of us. Yesterday, I spent part of the day in downtown Davenport. That community saw a record level of flooding, broke the record set in 1993 from the Mississippi River. Across the state, up against the Missouri, we saw towns that were underwater that had never flooded in any meaningful way before. Greatest runoff into the Missouri River Basin for as long as we've been keeping records of the Missouri River Basin. In my home state of Texas, Houston had 58 inches of rain, the landfall record for as long as we've been keeping them, and it was the third 500-year flood in just 5 years in that one community. These floods, the fires that we see in California, the droughts in West Texas and the Panhandle are happening at record levels of intensity and devastation. They are claiming lives and property, and in some cases, entire communities. And it's not happening through an act of God or because of Mother Nature. It is us. Our emissions, our excesses, our own inaction in the face of the facts and the science and the truth has produced these results, and the trajectory that we are on right now will make the devastation that we just described pale in comparison unless we take action at this moment. Scientists, those who are studying the same things that you are studying, tell us that we have 10 years within which to act, to free this country from a dependence on fossil fuels and fully embrace renewable energy, to make sure that this planet is habitable for the generations that follow us. We were able to release a plan. It's the most ambitious plan to confront climate change that this country has ever seen. It gets us to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, halfway there by 2030. It mobilizes $5 trillion over the next 10 years, not just to make sure that we adopt and innovate the next technologies for us and for the world, but to help those in Davenport and Pacific Junction and on the front lines of climate change weather these storms and floods as they come with greater frequency and greater devastation. And then we elevate those communities, very often lower income communities and communities of color that have borne the brunt of pollution and climate change over the decades that has been happening here in this country. If we do all of that, all of us doing our part, including farmers, when we free technologies like precision till and no-till agriculture, pay them for the public service and the environmental service of capturing carbon, when everyone in this country does their part, then this country can take its rightful role as the indispensable nation and convene the other powers of the planet together to make sure that we solve this otherwise intractable problem and that the United States leads the way. That is what we will do in an O'Rourke administration with your help. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.